guys, and welcome back to Perfectly Relaxing ASMR with Kat. Today, I'm hoping to make every Thursday Comic Book Thursday where I read you a new comic book. So if you have a comic book that you would like to have me read or look into, feel free to drop it in the comments. I'll see if I have it, and maybe if I don't, I can try to get it. If not, I'll make do with what I have. So today we're going to read this Lex Luthor one. This is a new one that came out just around the time that the movie did. So this is called Superman Lex Luthor Special. So we have it up here. Lex, and then it says Luthor. And up here is where it says Superman. Right here it says Miss Me, and it shows Lex Luthor, and he's kind of like more of a buff Lex Luthor than we're used to. And he definitely looks smug right here, so I'm interested to see what's going to happen in this comic. We have Superman down here who does look irritated, and I think this is supposed to be Lois. I can't tell. She's wearing glasses, which is like throwing me off, and she's wearing a dress that has a Superman logo up here, so I guess time will tell. We're going to have to open this up and check it out. Up here at the top it says that it was $3.99, and this is a DC all-in comic up here in the corner. On the back here we have an ad for a new show. This says it's called Creatures Commando. It's a new Max original series. It says now streaming Max. DC Studios. From James Gunn comes the new DCU, so this is kind of interesting. I like that it's going to be a cartoon, and it'll be interesting to see who these guys are, because I have no idea who any of these characters are. This one's kind of giving like Iron Giant vibes, which you can tell me in the comments if I'm wrong about that or not. But like I said, every Thursday I want to try to do more long-form comic book reading videos. So if you have any suggestions, now's the time to drop it in the comments. So we're going to go ahead and open this up and take a look. So on the first page here, we do have an ad. This is for the Warner Brothers Studio Tours. This says Hollywood Made Here and WarnerBrothersStudios.com, so that's kind of cool. And then on this page, try to show it a little closer. This page we start off with a picture of piano keys and someone saying, "What's this?" And a girl says, "It's called a piano." And he says, "I know what it's called. Why is it here?" And she said, "See, that's the thing, Dad. Even though your memory was wiped when you saved us from Brainiac, you seem to remember some stuff." And she said, "And Grandma used to say you would play when you were little." And then it shows a black and white picture, like a flashback of when he was a kid. And it's a woman sitting at the piano with him, and it says, "Go ahead, baby, your turn." So, that picture right there. It says, "Music can be closely tied to memory. I thought maybe this could unlock some of your old ones." She said, "We've tried everything, but maybe this might help you remember," he said. So he sits down at the piano. He said, "Okay, let's see." And this is Alex. I don't know if you've ever seen before, but he has a beard, which is kind of cool too. And he's playing, and it's clearly not very good because her face is showing us that it's not the greatest. And he says, "Sorry, it's just not there. I think the old Lex is gone for good." So the next page is a full page spread of Superman and some of his pals fighting. We've got Flash down there in the corner punching somebody in the face. And it says, "Superman, are you there?" He says, "My hands are full, Mr. Terrific, but what's up?" He said, "It's something a bit of a sensitive nature that I'd rather not say on the open mic or open comm. When you're done, can you swing by my lab?" And they're like all super busy, which is kind of funny. So the next page here, we have the Justice League Watchtower, which is in outer space. That's where it's taking place. You can kind of take a look at the pictures. We have Mr. Terrific down here, who looks exactly like he did in the movie, which is kind of cool. It says, "Ever since Darkseid's attack, I've been studying the new world that was created and the energies left behind in the wake of his death. He said, I also watched the security feeds from that day. Calling the footage glitchy would be an understatement." So, So time and space were just manipulated, not just when Darkseid was here, but the aftermath of that battle too. It's all very unusual. And he says, "A piece of our reality has been hidden from us. I must be honest. I've hit a revelations that were occurring. In this process of that, we've uncovered the Elseworld. Look at what I'm looking at now. So, this picture right here, you have them looking at the Elseworld. E-L-S-E world, Elseworld. It takes a unique mind to wrap their head around some of these harsher elements. He says, how so? I try not to let myself go down any intellectual dark paths. That's Mr. Fantastic saying that. I prefer to look at the positive, to allow yourself to see the dark parts of your mind take over, to let the intrusive impulses and thoughts win. I find it can be dangerous psychologically, but there's one person that seems to be able to find genius there. We were working on a way to communicate with the new world. His help could be key. And Superman says, now I see why you called me. You need, and says, dot, dot, dot. Who do you think he needs? Lex Luthor. So, little montage page of Lex, which is pretty cool. Now it says we're back in Centennial Park in Metropolis, and Lex is walking with that girl with glasses. So I don't know who this is supposed to be. It says, I really should be working. And Lex says, ice cream breaks are not part of your job, Mercy. Oh, this is Mercy. It's not why you hired me, that's for sure. He says, sorry, not you, the old you. He said, it's okay. I've learned a lot about how I used to be. So much, it's still a mystery. And she said, one that you don't want to solve. And he said, and it says perfect Lex at the bottom. So he doesn't know if he wants to be back to himself or not. Which is kind of crazy to see like a unsure Lex Luthor is like way different. And then this is a past scene, and I think this is supposed to be his grandpa or his grandma or his mom, I'm not sure, but he's playing the piano and she says perfect, and there's more music, and someone says, can you cut that racket out? I have important work to do and I can hardly hear myself think. And he says, sorry daddy, and she says, keep playing Lexi baby, start from the top, okay? Maybe you'd be able to if you weren't fall down drunk, Lionel. Our son is gifted. And he says, then he can bring home some money for this family and stop wasting time with that old broken piano. And he says, you're making him soft. And Lex is sitting there playing and crying, which is there he is crying as a little boy and his dad drunk. The next page is also another ad. It says, a new team for a new era, DC Power, Rise of Power Company. It says DC Black History Month, 48-page one-shot, available in January. So this is an ad for a comic. On the next page here, we have someone say, it's Lex Luthor, swoosh, and they threw something in his face, and some lady pointing her finger, and she says, he should be in jail. And someone said, hey, are you just walking around? Hey, is that Lex Luthor? My brother died because of him. He said, I thought he was locked up for good. And Lex has like stuff all over his face, and he's saying, I'm sorry, I'm not that Lex Luthor. And Mercy says, I don't think these people get the nuance, Lex. There they are in the park, and someone threw something in his face. On the next page, we have another ad for Justice League, the Atom Project. It says an all-in comic that was available in January. So that's pretty cool. And we have Superman coming to save Lex Luthor. This next page says, leave him alone. And the people say, sorry, Superman. Someone says, yeah, sorry. And Superman's looking up and he's like, this is my fault, Superman. Don't blame them. It's me. My old self earned their scorn. Which is kind of, he looks sad, actually. It's kind of like you feel bad for him. And then Superman says, I was hoping we could talk, Luthor. Ever since the incident with Brainiac, we haven't had any time to discuss what happened. And Lex says, I assumed you were avoiding me. I'd avoid me too after what the old Superman. Superman says there was an incident at the Watchtower, and Mr. Terrific said we needed Lex's help with an old project they were working on together, so I wanted to see if you made any progress on your memories. And Lex says, are you sure you want progress? Maybe some things are better left. So he doesn't think that anybody wants the old Lex around, which is probably true. The last picture really just kind of looks pathetic right there. Next page, we have more memories, so they're black and white. And it says forgotten, and Lionel Luthor is holding Lex's hand, and he says, hurry up, son. And then there's like a little baby crying his mom, and Lionel says, God, can't you shut that baby up? People need peace. And Lionel says, what did you need downtown so badly? And Lex says, Daddy, I needed a radio wave emitter. Look at it's a sound device that can send music into space and special signals that only some people can hear. Lionel, and he says, I made it for you. So that's kind of cute. Lionel doesn't really look happy about that, but he's looking super excited about his thing that he wants to do. So back to the present. It's Superman. He says, you don't want to remember? And Lex says, no, I don't. I don't want to be that version of Lex ever again. And Superman said, even if it can save lives. And Lex says, you tell me, Superman, that old version of Lex, he tried to kill you countless times. He hurt so many people. And I know he was paying for that. He was working toward being a better man. Maybe I'm that better man. I believe everyone has the opportunity to be the best version of themselves. I don't know how you could ever have believed in me. I'm sorry, that was Superman saying that, and then Lex is saying, I don't know how you could ever have believed in me. Superman said, you just said me, not him. And Lex says, here's a question for you, Superman. Do you believe the world is a better place with Lex Luthor in it? So, the bottom there. Let's see what Superman says. We have 2 pages of ads on this next spread. It says, enter the Watchtower, follow Justice League Unlimited throughout the DC universe. Full page spread ad here. All in DC. That's pretty cool. Superman says, Lex, you're right. I shouldn't be pushing you like this. It's your choice. And then he flies away. And Mercy says, don't listen to him. Lex. And now Lex looks very upset because Superman did not want to answer. But he doesn't think that Lex is a good idea. Then back to a flashback. It's in the house and it says, Lionel, stop. And Lionel says he's a freak. No kid at that age should be able to build that. I couldn't do what he did. He could never leave this farm, Letitia, ever. And he's crying, and he's holding his little sound emitter, and he's looking at the moon. So, I hate when they make you feel bad for the bad guys. And then it's still in the past, and he's still looking up at the moon, and he's sending music up to the moon. So, really pretty artwork. And then there's some noise coming down, and inside says, shh. We gotta call someone. This can't be normal. It says babies cry, Jonathan. So I guess we're over at the Kent house now because there's a baby crying. It just says "wah" on every page. So the baby's still crying. It says different. But we. I'm sorry. Babies cry, Jonathan. But we can't call anyone. What if they see Clark's different and they take him away? It says no one is taking him from us, Martha. And the baby's still crying, but you start to see that the music is coming into his room that only Superman can hear. And then all of a sudden, Clark falls asleep, and Jonathan and Martha say, what did you do? Nothing, but I'm not looking to give Doris in the mouth. He hasn't slept like this since we found him. And then you see it's Lex playing his music, and it says, it's a mirror miracle. So that's kind of cool. He didn't know it, but he helped him out. That's cute. On the next page, we have Lexi's in his apartment. He's looking at the piano. And then he walks over to it, and he's touching it, and it says Superman. This next page, we have Superman and Supergirl. And it says, "What's wrong, Mr. Fantastic, Superwoman? And I can be there at the Watchtower in seconds." He said, "Nothing is wrong. I just wanted to say thank you. I got a message direct from Supercorp. It's designs for a new kind of transmitter. It sends sound waves over multiversal vibrations. I have never seen anything like it. It's going to take some time, but I think this tech, I can find a way to communicate with the other world. This is huge. Did you not know?" So there's Mr. Fantastic talking to Superman. On the next page, it says, "No, I don't." Then we have a guardian angel out there somewhere. "Talk soon. I need to get back to work." And he's talking to Superwoman. He says, and he says, "I." And she said, "What's wrong?" And he hears the music. He says, "You hear that? It's beautiful." He goes, "I do." He said, "I've heard this song before, but I don't." He said, "Oh no, what's that?" "It's Luther." And then there's like an S in the sky for Superman. And then you see, it says he remembers, and then it's Lexi in the computer, or not computer, a piano with all the music around him. It says the sound of super, and it says to be continued in Superman number 24. That's pretty cool. On the next page, we have an ad for Poison Ivy, and that's kind of pretty artwork too. And on the last page here, we have a spotlight on Superman, an interview with Joshua Williamson, and then we have on the last page DC Studios Showcase, the official podcast. So that was our comic book Thursday. We had the Lex Luthor comic. If you enjoyed this, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe